Hello and welcome to a brand new FPL video. Today we're looking at our game week 7 transfer tips, but before we get into those we obviously have to take a look and see how we got on last week. Now it was a bit of a mixed bag. We got 4 out of 7 last week with a lot of basically kind of like unexpected results. With a lot of our players. Obviously Gabriel, a very popular buy last week, someone that we thought would do really well in the opening fixtures for game week 6 and 7. Playing against Leicester at home, you really do expect Arsenal to keep a clean sheet. Obviously ended up conceding 2 goals and Gabriel only picked up a 1-pointer, so that is unfortunate. Are expecting that kind of picks up again this week, and Arsenal can go and keep a clean sheet and he can make up for that. But in terms of instant points, he is unfortunately a failure for this week. Also, another one is Anthony Gordon, someone again who was being mass sold last week. And definitely looked like it would have been a good pick to move him on. Obviously a game against Manchester City, wasn't expecting him to be playing as the striker, but he played at striker and scored against Man City as well, and he picked up a 9-pointer with some bonus points in there as well, which again is quite unfortunate. And then obviously Eze was another one we were basically saying to give another week against Everton. The stats were there for him, we were kind of just waiting on him to provide a return, and unfortunately that never came either. So he's now on a 2-pointer and coming into a difficult run of fixtures, and he does actually feature again in the video today. Now in terms of our successes for this week, obviously Brian Mbeumo picking up a 9-pointer. João Pedro once again did not feature, so that was ideal. And then Salah, of course, going to be a keep against Wolves. He ended up picking up 10 points, which was nice, and then avoiding Emile Smith-Rowe for the time being. So that takes us up to a 73%. Actually takes us down to 73%. I think we were at 77 last week, but still above the 70% mark for our season success rate, which again is essentially about 3 out of 4 correct since the start of the season. Now we're starting off this week with a bit of a controversial one. We're starting with Cole Palmer, who I do think is an avoid. He is, again, like obviously was the star man of last week, scoring 4 goals. However, he's coming into a very difficult run of fixtures against a lot of good defences. We can obviously just see his next 3 coming up here. He's got Nottingham Forest at home, Liverpool away, and Newcastle at home as well. Now, just looking at even the next 2 fixtures, Nottingham Forest and Liverpool are both some very solid defences, both in the top 5 defences of the season so far. Then obviously Newcastle, who have just held off Manchester City in the most recent game week. So again, yes, Palmer is very capable of scoring against any of these teams, but for someone at 10.7 million, when you've got the likes of Saka with nice fixtures coming up, you're probably wanting to go more towards the good fixtures where someone's going to be able to pick up 2 or 3 goals. I highly doubt that Cole-Palmer is going to be coming up against any of the teams that he's got in the next few games and score, repeat the 4 goals again. So for me, I totally understand that he is a fantastic option for FPL. So I can bring up even the upcoming fixtures, just to add them in there. He's got Man United and Arsenal straight after those. So again, obviously Man United, he's probably very capable of scoring 3-4 goals in, but obviously Arsenal straight after that, you're talking some of the best defences in the league over the next 5 games. So for me, I probably prefer to put that money elsewhere, into a Saka, paying a little bit extra for Salah, even just downgrading to someone who has better fixtures. I think it's going to be more, a better use of your money. Next up we have Dwight McNeil. Now I am very disappointed I never stuck him in my wildcard team. I did speak about doing it. I ended up going for Calvert-Lewin instead. He obviously picked up 2 goals at the weekend, and he is someone that I've kind of been speaking about in recent weeks that I do really like as a pick. Everton have some nice fixtures for a good few weeks now, probably like the next 2 months right up until Christmas. It's a very nice fixture run for Everton. It was only 5.3 or 5.4 million, McNeil, about 2 weeks ago. He's now rose since up to 5.6. So again, you're up there with the likes of Smith-Rowe now. Before it was kind of looking at like Rodgers kind of price. Obviously rose since then. Rose last night as well, he is no longer close to a price change because he moved up last night. 242,000 transfers in this week, and I still think he's a really nice option. I think he's probably someone that is just going to keep doing well for the next couple of weeks and probably make his way up closer to 6 million with the amount of good fixtures they have. You can see the fixtures at the bottom of the screen now. Very capable of getting more and more returns. There's Ipswich in there, Southampton, Fulham at home, still a pretty decent one. West Ham he can do well against. I think in terms of the immediate future, Newcastle is going to be a little bit of a difficult fixture for him. But, I mean, you're looking at the stats with him in terms of XGI, expected goal involvement for midfielders. He's sitting in 8th. Very, very respectable for someone who's only 5.5 million in a team as poor as Everton right now. In terms of key passes of the entire game, he's sitting at number 1 with 21 key passes so far. And he's sitting at 5th for total points within midfielders as well. So he's definitely looking like one of the best value players you can get right now. He's not someone who looks like he's just going to have like a Madueke who scored a couple of goals and rose in price and then didn't really do anything afterwards. His stats are there to back up his form. He's got great fixtures coming up. I 100% would be looking to buy him as soon as possible. Now we've got Brennan Johnson up next, someone who again has in a very nice run of form. I think he's scored in these last 5 matches or maybe last 4 matches, but someone who looks really good, and he's a very cheap option into the Spurs attack if you can't afford someone like a Solanke or you want to go a little bit more direct than someone like Maddison. Only 6.4 million, still yet to rise back up to the 6.5 after dropping. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. He's only had 100,000 transfers in this week. But I'm quite, it was again another player I mentioned in my team selection video. Very disappointed I didn't pick him up because he does look great. Fixtures are really nice. He might be someone that I end up transferring in for Luis Diaz in my own personal team, but some nice fixtures. Brighton away, we've just seen Cole Palmer score 4 goals against them. West Ham, again another team that seems to be struggling very much defensively. Palace, another team that's struggling, but he's another one again, since he's picked up the form, since he's started returning, you can see again his stats are really starting to back him up. Just in the last 3 games we're looking at him here, XG has been sitting 3rd in terms of midfielders, just behind Cole Palmer and Mo Salah. In terms of shots from midfielders in his last 3 games, in anyone's last 3 games, he's sitting at number 1 with 13 shots in his last 3. And then total points in the last 3 games for midfielders, he's sitting in 5th place. So again, if you take this into the entirety of the season, he's going to be a little bit lower because obviously he wasn't really good in the first 3 matches or so, but he's really started to pick up form. His stats have been great in the last couple of matches. He's still only 1.6% owned as well, so it would make him a huge differential. And again, looking at the fixtures over the next 5, you can see Palace in there, Ipswich at home as well, West Ham, definitely a player I would like to pick up at some point. Now, after featuring last week in the keep section, Eze is now definitely one I would be looking to sell, unfortunately. He's dropped in price again to 6.8 million. He's been transferred out just about 250,000 times, and he's coming into a difficult run of fixtures. We already spoke about Palmer having Forest and Liverpool in the next 2. Eze's the exact same, and someone who hasn't really been performing greatly over the start of the season. His stats have been fantastic, he's just not been returning. He's probably someone I'd be looking to sell now with these fixtures. Again, Liverpool, a difficult defence to come up against. Nottingham Forest away from home as well, another difficult one. And then Spurs, of course, another one who are pretty decent defensively. So at this point, unfortunately, I think you've got to just cut your losses if you've had him since game week 1. His stats look great. I think he's probably someone we come back to in a couple of weeks when the Palace fixtures start to improve again. But for now, unfortunately, I think Eze is now a sell. And then rounding things off, I hate to try and do this again, but I think Bruno Fernandes is someone that you probably want to be keeping in your team. And obviously picked up a red card against Spurs. That's now been rescinded, which I think actually makes things a lot more difficult for owners, because had that red card stood, he would be missing the next 3 matches, which means he would be an easy sell, and you can no longer experience the pain that Bruno has been giving us since game week 1. But now that he's had the red card rescinded, I think he might be another keep for the next few weeks. Obviously his fixtures are fairly okay. You know, the Aston Villa fixture is obviously a difficult one, but Brentford after that, West Ham after that. And then switching over to the stats screen, we've also got like his XGI, his expected goal involvement, his shots from midfielders. He's still right up there. So it's not like he's dropped off in the last few weeks where he's now not as good an option. He's still performing. He's still right up there for expected goal involvement from midfielders. Still right up there for shots taken. And he's now down to 7.7% ownership. But again, the fixtures that Man United have got, I think you probably do want to try and have one of their players in there now. There is rumours of Ten Hag getting sacked in a couple of weeks, so we don't really know what's going to happen with the new manager. But I don't know. For me, I think I'd give him a couple more weeks. Is that insanity? Probably. But you know, Brentford at home, West Ham away, it's decent enough fixtures, and obviously we're still waiting on that Man United penalty, which he is obviously going to be taking. So I think I'd keep him for another couple of weeks, see how it goes, see if they get a new manager, things change, and hopefully Bruno can start to make up for the stats of what they're showing us. So that's going to be us for this week. Only 5 players in terms of like transfers being made. A lot of the players that are being transferred in and out this week have been covered last week anyway, so we're kind of going for the newer ones. There's not really too much to talk about, so we've got 5 players here. Hopefully, again, I think when you're looking at the immediate fixtures, this could be another one that doesn't work too well this week, because a lot of these players have good fixtures onwards from this week, but willing to sacrifice it. These are the 5 options that I would go for: buying McNeil, buying Johnson, selling Eze, keeping Bruno Fernandes, and avoiding Cole Palmer and trying to put that money elsewhere. So that's our 5 picks. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next video.